Yo. So, you read the title. Recently, I've been scrolling through YouTube and I found this nice little video. And this video was about an old, I don't know if it's strictly German, but it seems like a German tradition called the Waltz. And it's an old one. It's from the medieval times. The specifics don't really matter. What does matter is that it used to be a strictly men tradition, or like a tradition reserved for men. But in this video covering the waltz and like the waltz in the modern times, there was a lot of outrage, or like I don't know if outrage is the right word, but like discussion about whether like women should participate, and most of the time they can participate nowadays. But there are still some groups who don't let women participate, and and this topic appears in variations in a lot of different fields, I feel like. And every single time I just think of like, why? Like, why do women have to invade traditionally men or like male spaces? Just do your own stuff. You can literally copy it one for one and just make it for yourself. Why do you have to insert yourself, invade the male spaces? That's like a line of thinking I've been thinking about, right? And this quote from J.R.R. Tolkien kind of came to mind. I don't know why. you can decide why, but I feel like it fits here in a way. Obviously, yeah. I don't have to mention I love women, but still, like if I was in their situation, I would just make my own structure, my own thingy, and like, yeah, why do we have to invade those male spaces? And because especially nowadays, like back in the day, obviously they were hindered, but nowadays nothing is stopping them from making their own stuff. They can even make it better or like more suitable towards them, because like a lot of the time, once they are inside those spaces, they want to, alter them and like make them more suitable for themselves, which makes sense from their point of view, but it most of the time sucks for the men. So yeah. And the same kind of idea, at least in my thinking, is like, or like a similar idea is with race swapping characters in media. And like sometimes I don't mind at all, like for example with Nick Fury. I didn't even know before watching the movies that he, like in the comics, at least to my knowledge, that he was a white guy. And it didn't matter, and it fit, and I like the actor for it, so obviously I'm completely okay with it. But there are some some cases where it's completely ridiculous. For example, in the newest Christopher Nolan movie, with Helen of Troy, right? Here it's like in a historical context, like, come on, man. And then, I swear, this whole movie is just one big humiliation ritual for Nolan. Let me tell you that much. But that's a different topic. And then it got me thinking in a different kind of direction, but with the same spirit of thought. And then I came to the actual topic of the video, the reason you clicked on the title, right? And in specifically, right? Like specifically WNBA players. At least to my knowledge, they have been demanding, we want the same pay as our male counterparts. We want the same pay as the NBA players in our league. Now, if you spin it like very disingenuous towards them, or at least most of them, I hope, they don't want the exact same like revenue. They're not retarded. At least I hope. But they want the same split. They want the same percentage of like revenues generated going towards the players. And I can respect it if certain requirements are met. And I feel like the biggest requirement would be that the league, generates profits. If the revenues lead to a loss of the whole league, like as a whole, then I guess, yeah, you could say they deserve the same percentage cut as the male players, but then they would have to pay money for the league to be like sustainable. You see where I'm getting at? So they're complaining that they don't get the same percentage cut, but they get even more than the men, because if they were to get the exact same cut, they would lose money because the league on its own is unprofitable. They don't create profit. That's the problem. It has to be subsidized by the male NBA league, or by the regular NBA league, whatever. So if they really were thinking about this, they wouldn't say shit, because, bro, you're getting paid even though you're not making money. If that makes sense. But it got me thinking in a like more theoretical way, and why the title still is true, at least in my opinion. Women should get paid at least the same as male, like their male counterparts in sports, or even more if, and I will elaborate. But why? Now, you see, women make up roughly about 50% of the population. If anything, they make up even more because of like average life expectancy of men, and like our tendency to work harder and like more dangerous jobs, or like do stupid shit in general, or like suicide rate, whatever the fuck. So if anything, there are even more women, right? And in like a game theory sense, like very roughly, I'm too retarded to actually do that shit properly, but like bear with me, right? If they really wanted to, they have the potential power, and they should be able to get the same amount of views, sales, and ad revenue, and therefore the female players should at least be paid the same. Another factor, which I feel like is even bigger, women are, when it comes to buying decisions, especially buying decisions based on the ads consumed, they are more emotionally driven or touched by ads. And in general, they also, at least self-reported, tend to be the drive in consumer decisions within households. I mean, you can take it as a fact, or you can simply disregard it. But even if everything would be the same, there are still 50% of the population, and they have, like, at least in Western countries, roughly 50% of the purchasing power, right? So for companies who want to earn money, who want to create profit, it would be so attractive to have like the same amount of advertisement for like half the population, right? If they were to all watch those women's sports. Now, there is this kind of factor, like, okay, let's for the argument's sake, right? Let's just say, okay, maybe they're not as popular like when it comes to sports, because, you know, people want to watch the best of the best, and like, if you were to take a fucking football club, like a male and the female one, yeah, the male would beat their ass, right? I mean, yeah, you see it on the screen. They lost to like 15-year-olds, right? The national team. It's like there are differences in our bodies, like, obviously, but I don't feel like people necessarily only want to see the best. Like, they would only watch the best two teams and then not watch anyone else, right? They wouldn't watch second league football or anything like that. I would actually reckon second league football, at least in like maybe England, like what is it called, Championship or something, would get more views than the women part. I'm not sure on that, right? I'm too lazy to research. It would be pretty funny, I don't know. But I feel like we can disregard that. Most of the people watch sports for the identification value, the entertainment. It's their kind of tribalism that's still allowed nowadays. You can't like your country, but that's a different topic. But here's like the main problem. Like, all those, like, especially feminists, right, advocating for like same pay for like the same amount of relative hardship in sports, right? Like, the best women should get paid the same as the best men, or even more, as I just elaborated. But the problem is, the women, like, especially the ones advocating, it seems like, they just don't care about the sports in general. They don't care about, yeah, sports in general, and also like specifically the female part. Like, yeah, that's the thing. Like, if all those women advocating for this and like asking and demanding this shit would actually, you know, do the work and show up, like, support them, buy the tickets, go to the events, watch the games on TV, and therefore be influenced by the advertisement and like get the merch, buy the jerseys. I don't know, but they don't do that shit. That's the thing. The men, or like not just the men, but like also female fans of like regular quote unquote or men's sports, they do that, right? So it's a simple, like a very simple issue of less views equals less money, and therefore they get less like wages, like their wages are diminished, right? It makes sense in like every, like especially for example with the WNBA, they still even get paid. I think the median wage was like 130,000 a year, which is like for a pro sport. You don't think that's a lot, but it's a good wage, I feel like. Especially regarding the fact that they are not profitable. They have to be subsidized, They like if we were in a true like free market, they would fail. They would they would have to pay in order to be able to play or like have a normal regular job, like a second one kind of thing. And it would be like a children's league, for example. And like the funny thing is, if anything, it's the men who watch like the female sports. I feel like, especially in when it comes to like football, right? They just like to support their team, and if their team or like their club has a like a female equivalent, they might as well support that, right? It's cheaper. The tickets probably, right? Obviously, it's cheaper, and you get the same feeling of being like kind of patriotic, like for like tribalistic for your tribe, for your club. That's like a peak human experience, I guess. It's a simple, cheaper like solution, and especially with the rising ticket prices for like the regular stuff, or like the I don't want to say the real one, the male ones. Like it's a cheap alternative to have like a like 80-20 kind of deal. We get 80% of the enjoyment, like the last 20% are missing, but you'd have to pay like a lot of money to get those last 20%. It's very much within the territory of diminishing returns, I'd say. And like in theory, if women really wanted to, they could make female sports much more lucrative than men's sports, and therefore like solve all these issues they like to advocate against. That's the thing. But they just don't put their money where their mouths are. That's the core issue. They'd rather get like, I don't know, like iced matcha latte every day, instead of saving up and getting a ticket. You don't even have to save up a lot, man. Like nowadays, like the ticket prices are not that fucking expensive, right? Obviously, if we were to play out the whole scenario, they would get gradually more expensive, just like the men's ones, and like, but yeah, we're not nearly close at this point. Like the only thing they can do, it seems like, is virtue signal, and this really pisses me off. Like if I were in that situation, I would mobilize people, create content. Yeah, yeah, content creation. Like how many content creators are there about football, or like especially now with the World Cup going on, right? You see YouTubers coming out of the bushworks, telling you about these teams, about their strategies, and why this will win, and who has the talents and stuff. You don't see shit about women's sports in this regard, at least to my knowledge. And obviously there are probably some, but like not even closely, like remotely close to the extent of like men's sports. And like, why don't women just, like, if they actually want to, gather around and be like, hey, let's attend the events, let's buy tickets, let's buy jerseys, let's watch the TV and like the ads, as a result, and let's make content, right? Let's be interested in that stuff, and let's push them, and then the money will follow. It's a very simple mechanism. And I feel like in some ways this, like, obviously not the same, but in a general direction, is the same with for example, in the gaming industry. Like, I don't want to generalize. I don't want to be the fucking everything was better before and shit. I don't want to be the boomer. But like they come into those spaces, and nowadays I feel like the gaming industry, it sucks, right? It used to be a bunch of dudes making a bunch of games for a bunch of other dudes, and they enjoyed it. I guess corporate and like the whole industry, or like gaming as an industry, also, destroyed it. I wanted to say a word, ification, but if I say that, I go to jail. um, yeah. Anyways, and the same with like media, for example, like pop culture in a sense. Like Star Wars is like one that comes to mind. It used to be a very male-dominated space. Don't get me wrong, there were female fans, but they were happy with what we had and what they got. Like there were fans, obviously female fans in the 70s and 80s already, just not to the extent of the male ones, right? And therefore it was a male-dominated like media, whatever, like thing, and it catered more towards them, like the classic hero in Luke Skywalker, you know. But now you watch episode, like especially what was it, 8 and 9. I mean, yeah, it's also like because of Disney's policies and like ideas, quote unquote. But especially in 8, like the one character with the pink hair, man. Like, come on, man. But that's a different topic. I feel like I've elaborated enough on the issue at hand with the female sports, and yeah, I think like if women actually wanted to, they could create a scenario where they would get paid the same, and or even more, right? And it's all in their hand. Anyway, let me know your ideas on the topic. If you have any ideas regarding anything I've touched in this video, leave a comment and don't forget to like and subscribe. Anyway, guys, stay frosty.